Welcome to video 2. In video 2 we're going to start taking a look at converting units of time. Now in this video we're going to set up a technique that we're going to use in the rest of our conversions. We didn't need to use this method in our metric to metric because metric to metric is all base 10. It's a lot easier to just multiply or divide by factors of 10, but unfortunately not all of our measurement systems are going to be that easy to convert. So we're going to take a look here at using a different way to do that. Now, when we're going to be doing our conversions here, we're going to be using multiplication of different ratios, and those ratios are going to be known as conversion factors. Those are going to help us convert from one unit to the next. And below this we have several of our common time conversion factors. We have that 1 year equals 365 days, 1 year equals 12 months, 1 week equals 7 days, 1 day is 24 hours, and 1 hour is 60 minutes, and that 1 minute is 60 seconds. Now hopefully these should all be ones that you're familiar with, but if you're a little rusty then feel free to refer back to this chart to help you out, keeping in mind that these also go the opposite direction. For example, 1 day is 24 hours, 24 hours also makes 1 day. Now when we're converting between units with a conversion factor, we're looking for ratios that should help us to set up how to multiply and or divide to get the right answer. So let's take a look at an example. So in example 3, we are asked how many days are in 15 years. Now before I start this example, I do want to point out a slight typo. That should not say years there, that should say days. We're asked to find how many days are in 15 years, so we want to put what we're ultimately trying to find here at the end. Now we're going to start out with whatever unit they give us over 1. So we were asked how many days are in 15 years. We are starting with 15 years, so we are going to go ahead and put 15 years over 1 to start us out. Now if you think back to multiplying fractions, way back in middle school, when we multiply fractions and we had the same thing on top and bottom, we were able to cancel those out. That is going to be the property that we're going to use to help us with these unit conversions. So I want to be able to cancel out years and end up with an answer in days. So what I need to do is I need to set up conversion factors that will let me cancel out and end up with the unit that I want in days. So I know that to be able to cancel years on top, I am going to have years on bottom. That's the only way that they're going to cancel out. So I want to look at my conversion factors to see what can help me get there. Now, we could go to months because months are smaller than years, but the problem we're going to run into in months is that it's very inconsistent from one month to the next. For example, February could have 28 days, but then another month like October might have 31. So not every month is going to have the same number of days, so we're going to look at jumping straight from years to days. So if we look at our conversion factor, we know that 1 year is equal to 365 days. Now remember, I need my years on bottom, so I'm going to write that conversion factor starting with my 1 years on bottom. And I know that 1 year is the same thing as 365 days. So when I multiply these through, my years on top and my years on bottom are going to cancel. If they were both on the top or both on the bottom, they wouldn't cancel. They would instead multiply together to give us years squared. So we want to always make sure that to be able to cancel, we have one on top and one on bottom. And now we simply just do the multiplication. We would multiply the top, 15 times 365, and that's going to give us 5,475. And then we're going to also multiply the bottom, 1 times 1. And that's pretty easy, it's just 1. Now we also want to pay attention to our units. We only have days up top, that's the only unit that's not canceled out. And if you recall, that's the unit that we wanted at the end, so we know we've canceled out all our appropriate units. Now at the bottom, we don't have any years left, so this is just going to be 5,475 days divided by 1. So our final answer is just going to be 5,475 days in 15 years. Now, we are going to get into some that are going to be a little bit more complicated. We'll look at some examples like that in future systems. We'll keep it simple for now. But for example, if you needed to go from years to days or hours or something like that, you would just continue out with your conversion. For example, over here, instead of maybe stopping at 15 years times 365 days over 1 year, if you were asked to perhaps go to hours, you would also need to cancel your days, and we know that there's a conversion factor that 1 day is equal to 24 hours. So you would just continue on with your process. Your days and days would cancel, and you'd only be left with hours. And so you would get your final answer in hours. You just multiply the top and multiply the bottom and go ahead and do any division that you may have. So really it just depends on how many different units you're going through. Again, this was all over here, all we needed for the example we were actually given. The example on the right is just if we were asked to go further, just to give you guys an example to see that we can do more than one step with our conversion factors. Alright, that's it for this video. You guys figure out the U-try of how many seconds there are in one day, and we'll come back and see you guys in video 3.